Now, Pat Brands has announced that it has launched its inaugural awards. Take a listen to this. Have a look.
They say the youth of today is lazy, but look at the material. Pat Brands introduces the top 16 youth-owned brands awards, the first award show in the country that is focusing on giving brands owned by the youth the recognition they need to shine. Nominate a youth-owned brand under the 16 categories. Visit www.patonbrands.com and nominate now. Real recognizes real.
Well, this is the first of its kind in the country, and it's aimed at recognizing and empowering proudly South African brands owned by youth. Well, to tell us more about this is the founder and CEO of Pat Brands, Pat Mahlangu himself. Pat, good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming in.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me.
I know this is hard work, but I'm going to say congratulations for thinking about this. Why? Why this focus on youth-owned brands?
There's so many lenses to look at this initiative, but the first one that I'd like to highlight is around the narrative around young people. There's always been this narrative that young people are lazy, young people are entitled, young people just want to get things fast, but yet we have young people that are doing great things and that are also creating opportunities for other young people. Another thing is that I am a marketer by profession, and also I've been in the industry for quite a number of years now. And I remember in 2014, I was watching an episode of Nelson Media, when he was still under this table.
I'm pleased you were watching eNCA, yeah, even in 2014.
In 2014, I was a student, and I was sitting in my res room at the time, and they had an episode, and they were talking about transformation of the advertising and communications industry, and interestingly, last Saturday, I had an interview with Muzukuzwayo, who actually walked out of that meeting saying he was tired of talking. And to this day, I'm a professional, I'm actively involved in the industry, and transformation is still top of the agenda.
So underlying this top 16 youth-owned brand awards initiative you've started is supporting young people, encouraging them, yes, and contributing in a way to the transformation of the marketing and advertising industry.
Absolutely. So we can't talk about the transformation of the industry without mentioning the youth-owned brands. The reason why I say that, it's important that we grow proudly South African brands that become globally competitive. If you think about it, if you look at all the big multinational, big global brands, they sign global deals with global agencies, meaning that if you're starting an agency today as a young person in South Africa, the likelihood that you'll get to work with a big global multinational brand, it's close to zero. Okay. So it's important that we grow our own brands in South Africa, so that we can...
We'll get into the nitty-gritty just now of what is this awards about. Yeah. The ceremony is going to be in June, I understand?
Yes, in June, on the 15th of June. Just on the eve of this.
That's not a coincidence. Knowing you as a marketer, that's definitely not a coincidence. It's just on the eve of Youth Day.
Yes. I mean, look, we ideally would have liked to have it on the 16th of June, because the reason why we say top 16, we're also borrowing from our history pages, June 16. So we are saying the youth of 1976 fought a political fight, and the youth of today is fighting an economical one. They're building brands that contribute to the economy of this country.
Everybody keeps on talking about Africa's youth dividend. They give us these big numbers that there's so many billions of young people on the continent, that more than a third of South Africans' population
is young people. Yeah.
Well, the census is out now. That number might be bigger when it comes back. Okay, so what are the categories that these youth-owned, South African youth-owned brands can enter? Which categories are you going to be looking at?
So I need to mention this in terms of the categories. We had to think long and hard about which categories we should have first, because we looked at industries that we know already young people are actively in. I think it would have been a disservice if, for example, we had a banking category, because the likelihood that a young person would start a banking brand is almost close to zero. Yes. So we looked at the industries that young people are already in, and starting with like apparel, we know that actually, at some point also, as an entrepreneur in varsity, I started an apparel brand, but I've since sort of evolved from that. So we've got footwear. We know young people are starting popular footwear brands, and they really...
Drips, you've got your kicks,
exactly, your batus, you know,
stuff.
all of that.
They're also wonderful.
Absolutely, and we're looking at food, you know, whether you own a restaurant brand or you've got your own, say, Archer brand or whatever, you can also enter it. We also look at technology. You know, we know young people are actually at the forefront of driving the technological agenda, and they're coming up with apps and with tech solutions.
What I found fascinating is that you've got NPO and charities. I mean, generally, when we talk of brands, we don't think about those non-profit organizations.
Absolutely.
And the people on the ground who are helping communities. And on the back of the KwaZulu-Natal floods, I'm thinking, that got my attention.
Yeah, interesting.
Why NPO and charities?
I mean, they play a very important role, and I think we can only think of one brand right now when you speak about...
Absolutely. Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman.
Absolutely.
There are many others.
There are many others, you know, and we're saying also... I mean, also we know young people are... The nice thing about the youth, particularly the youth of today, they don't think only about themselves. In many cases, I mean, in varsity, for example, we were involved in, like, charity work, and we did not care about getting paid for anything.
You are bringing that into this world. Well done to you.
Absolutely.
As we conclude, just very briefly, what are the key criteria? Somebody's watching. Somebody said, I want to enter. I mean, your campaign is already underway. We paid a bit of a clip of that as we started.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Following, what's the criteria?
So the criteria is very simple. We're saying the brand must be owned by a South African youth of any race, color, gender. I think I need to get that out clear. And also, we are saying the brand must have some sort of a website. You know, it's important that a brand has a website, because the first thing, if you want to check the credibility of any business, you go on Google and you punch in and you get to the website and you see, oh, actually, I'm dealing with...
And it cannot be a fly-by-night. It should have been around for some time.
Yes. Also, it must have been around for 12 months, a minimum of 12 months.
And what's youth, by the way? What's the age? Does it include... up to my age, sort of?
The ANC Youth League does not apply for this age.
Which one have you gone with?
Yeah, the South African Constitution.
18 to 35?
18 to 35.
Okay, no, we wish you well. We'll talk to you later on, and we don't have much time to talk about who's going to be your judges. Yes. I'm sure you've thought about that as well. We're going to involve young people and young energy. Good luck, Pat Mahlangu. Thank you very much. Okay, he's a founder and CEO of Pat on Brands, but he's also launching this inaugural survey that is going to be the top 16 youth brands in South Africa. The awards ceremony is going to be in Sandton on the 15th of June, on the eve of that very important National Youth Day. We'll keep tabs on this one in the next few weeks and so up to that time.